truth-seeking generation. Equip us now for the work ahead as we follow you. This is your house. Oh, this is your house.
What's up, podcast listeners? Thanks for tuning in for another episode. This is episode 9 of the House Podcast, and we are super excited to be here with you. I am your host, Caleb, and this is my co-host.
Hey. Ichi. Chiefy. I combined Ethan and Chiefy.
Ichi?
Chiefy.
Ooh, I don't like that.
Sorry.
That is yucky.
It's mine.
And then we also have 2 guests with us today. One you've seen on the pod before playing some games. This is
Angie.
nice. Angie. And then on the far end, we have a new guest today. This is our dear friend,
Estefania.
Estefania. So Angie works here at Calvary Chapel Brandon. She oversees our media department, keeping our website, our graphics, all of that up and running 24/7 here at the CCB. She also helps out in youth ministry, and Estefania is also one of our youth leaders, and then is also a doctor of physical therapy. So this is a very fancy episode. We had to pay the big bucks to get the doc in the house, but we're super excited to have her.
Can you look at this mole on my foot?
Oh, that, no.
I feel like that's what people all
I'm
the
actually
time.
hopeful that no one heard that since the mic was down there.
Every time
You're
you
a
tell
nurse.
somebody,
You don't need.
every time you tell somebody you're a medical professional, they always come. Agree or
Yep,
disagree? They always come with
100%.
you with strange
Dude,
medical
I
problems.
know. I do that
Do
to
you
both of you
di-
guys. Both
Do
of
you
you.
diagnose moles, though? You're like a doctor of physical
I
therapy.
no joke. Like people come to me. What do you think of this mole?
Well, you're a nurse, though. I could see that. You look at, like, weird stuff all day. Doctor of physical
Don't,
therapy, though? I'm not going to be like, check out my mole. What are you going to do? Like, tell it to work out?
Do some curls.
Here's some stretches you can do for your mole. No.
I wouldn't be surprised if I got that one day, though.
Yeah, you
Oh,
know?
man.
What is the weirdest
But I'm
thing?
an ER nurse. I don't have anything to do with moles.
Oh, bro, I've brought my moles to the ER. What is the
resuscitated
weirdest
them
thing you're
before.
comfortable sharing that someone has asked either of you from a medical
I
professional
feel like
opinion?
Ethan would probably have
Oh,
way
man, I
weirder
got
stuff
some-
than me, for sure.
I got some weird stuff, man.
You-
People like talking to me about all sorts of stuff. Like,
I mean, though, at nursing, not just at church.
oh, okay. I feel like the weirdest things that actually are here.
Right. That's what I mean. Exactly.
Oh man, you have to go first because I'm thinking. All right. Let
I
me
feel
think.
like I don't get weird questions. It's mostly like
Um,
something hurts, like why. But nothing weird, I feel like, because people normally don't think like PTs are like looking at skin
Right.
and like
That's why I was so
like
off
bizarre
put by the mole.
mucus.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't had that.
Bizarre mucus. Mm.
Ethan would be a better person
Oh
for this.
I
man.
know I've asked you a lot of
You
times,
have.
like, hey, I'm like, my elbow hurts. Like, what should I do?
Yes, that has happened.
I've called Ethan, like, ever since he started in nursing school, be like, hey, I got this weird rash. What does it mean?
That is-
I'll admit it.
That's true. That is true.
I've just learned to live with my weird rashes 24/7.
I feel like it was like
Rashes and moles.
It was
Oh,
like
man.
last year or something. I feel like last year, but it was due to stress. Let me clarify.
It was.
Oh,
This- I
diagnosed
this
it.
really happened.
This actually happened
Oh
last year
my.
when my dad first got
Okay.
sick.
Praise the Lord.
It is a lie.
Praise the Lord.
When my dad first got sick. So this was like last
Yeah.
year,
Oh, okay,
2023,
Yeah.
and I was really stressed out.
Yeah.
And I started to get like these little red bumps.
Wait,
in
can
my
I remember
Can I
that.
take it from here?
Yeah,
So I
sure.
get a call from Angie one day on the way back from church here.
Mhm.
I was like a
But I wasn't
Tuesday
gonna
or
ask him in
something.
front of a ton of people.
She called me up and she's like, "Hey, you're a nurse." Just say that I'm a nurse. I'm like, yeah.
Every time
yep,
you
I'm a
go
nurse.
to say nurse, I think you're gonna say, "Hey, you're a nerd." You pause.
I am a nurse
Nurse does.
as well.
A nurse.
But I'm a nurse, and she's like, like you've gotta like keep things a secret that people
Like,
tell you.
It's Dr. Patient
HIPAA. It's
confidentiality,
HIPAA.
right?
I'm like, you mean HIPAA? Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Hippo?
HIPAA.
Oh no, I know. what you're talking
I'm not talking about you. And the And they
It's like the opposite of a hippo.
you gotta keep things people tell you a secret. And I was like, yeah, of course. And she's like, well, okay. So I have a question. I have this rash on my arms, and it just sprang up one day, and it's not going away. What is it? That's what I got. I'm like,
I did that. Actually, I did
well.
that to you too when we came back from the youth
Oh, yeah,
camping
you
trip.
did.
I had the
everybody
little
go
bug
see him
bites,
with
and I
the
was like, okay, so I'm just gonna pull my pant leg
Oh
off.
my goodness.
I was like, they're very mysterious.
Yeah.
What do you
Yeah.
think?
They were chigger bites.
Yeah,
Mm.
first
We
time.
all
so.
get those at camp, though. Yeah, you always get them.
Gotta love 'em.
Everyone does.
Gotta love them.
Mm.
Well, I'll tell you this. This is actually the
You wanna
perfect
share a knee
segue.
rash?
No. I just told you I live 24/7 with them. We're friends. We just have a symbiotic relationship, and it's all good. This is the perfect segue into the theological conversation for the day. We're talking about the value of friendship. And right off the cuff, we've established good friends are those you can share your rash with.
Yes.
I
concur.
but the information about it and can spread to them without them getting frustrated.
Just like a rash could
Um,
spread.
Right. And that's it for today, folks. We'll see you later.
Okay.
Take this. No, I'm just kidding.
Take these
yeah.
out.
No, we're going to get to that in just a minute. Before we do, as always, when we have new guests on the podcast, we ask one question. What is something about you that not many people know about you? Angie or Estefania, who wants to kick us off?
I can go first.
Okay, because
What
I'm
you
still
got?
thinking.
Something about you that
I
not many people
thought
know.
of it
Something
when
I
you mentioned it
Rash.
before.
Yeah, we were getting set up. All right,
Yeah.
what you got? What you got?
So, well, this part I feel like most people know. I'm very artistic person,
Mhm.
but when I was younger, for some reason, like every year, I either won a contest for something I made, like art wise,
Okay.
or
way.
something I wrote. So I would just randomly go to these events.
Like poems?
Yeah, like
Okay.
like for example, I wrote a poem when I was little, and I don't remember like what happened really, but all I know is that we went to an event. I met the mayor of my town, in Woodbridge, back
you
in New
kidding
Jersey.
me?
Yeah, and I still remember the place. It was a Barron Arts Center,
What?
and I read my poem in front of everybody. It was like televised. The mayor, I shook,
Televised?
yeah, I shook his hand.
Can I find this on the YouTubes?
If it's out there.
Oh, I'm gonna have to search around.
I
That's
feel like your mom probably has like a
crazy.
recording of it somewhere.
I feel like she
like a
probably does.
VHS or something.
Yeah,
when
I
they're
like, think
recorded.
she probably cried when I like read the poem or something.
That's
Oh my
crazy.
goodness.
Yeah,
What in
and
the
then just
world?
other things like art things. I went to like events for art.
I
don't know,
actually
like things
didn't
I made.
know you were so artistic. Like, what are things you've made? Like sculpted or
Yeah, like I've made
drawn?
like sculptures, drawings, things like that.
Are you like a
She
really
does
good
paint.
She's
artist?
got a
Yeah.
fancy
Yeah.
one called Michelangelo and
Painting,
the
yeah.
famous.
Watercolor.
Oh yeah, like the Statue of David. Yeah.
That's fancy.
Oh, David.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
I screwed it up. I meant to
Uh,
say David. I said
Michelangelo is the artist. That's a good try. Good try. She's drawing some Ninja Turtles up in here. 16
No,
Chao.
that's me. I do those.
Oh, okay. It started. She's trying to draw Ethan. Next thing you know, it's a turtle
They're one and the same.
wearing orange. Yeah,
I
I
am
love
too.
it.
I actually dress up as the Ninja Turtles in my stocking.
Oh.
That's a fun fact.
Fun fact you didn't know about me. Wow.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
What
Well,
do you
no,
got?
but here's a cool fun fact. I
Alright.
guess it has to do with the Ninja Turtles.
Okay.
When I lived in Canada, like Cannon was super into like
Mhm.
Ninja Turtles, so he named us all like one of them. I
Mm.
was Donatello, so for the longest time I was Donnie.
Donnie.
Like that was a little
Oh,
nickname. Yeah, I
Donnie.
had.
So Italian. I love
Like
it.
a little Donnie nickname.
Yeah,
I was
that's
Donatello
Donnie.
because it's the nerdiest one, you know. When
Little Donnie. I like
it had to
it.
be me.
Yeah. All right. Well, for the rest of the episode, you will be Donnie. All right. All right. Wow. I did not know either of those things about you. That's actually my favorite part of this is when I find out things I
Yeah.
did not previously
That
know.
is so cool.
Did
I
you
didn't
know
realize
either of
that
those
either.
things?
No, I
No,
didn't.
I don't
You
think
didn't
I
know
ever told-
Angie was nicknamed Donnie?
No, I never told
Can
her
that be like
that.
your pet name for her henceforth? Sugar Bear,
No,
Boogie
it's,
Boo.
he calls me slippery slime.
Donatello.
Slippery snail. His slippery snail.
Slippery snail.
Sugar booger.
That's, yeah, that's okay. We got a great show in store. Super excited for the theological conversation. We will be back in just a moment after we have this ad. Hey, podcast listeners, thanks for bearing with us on these breaks. As always, we just want to remind you to send in your questions, your comments, your suggested topics, and or feedback to the Calvary Chapel Brandon Youth email, which is ccbyoutthehouse@gmail.com. We love hearing feedback on the show. We would love to hear, once again, your thoughts and or ideas. If there are guests you want, if something's not working, is working, whatever. Hit us up at ccbuyouththehouse@gmail.com. Thank you. And we're back. Once again, just a reminder, CCB Youth, super excited. We did get one meme. Yes.
Yay,
So,
finally, we got the first one.
What?
yeah,
I don't
that
know
in
that.
itself
Ready?
is
Yeah,
at
so
they're
least
doing
one
a
that we can
contest,
talk
yeah.
about. But we do, just to catch everybody up, in case you're not tracking, we are doing a meme caption contest where you can take screenshots of the pod and caption them as you see fit, send them in, and we will talk about them on the podcast. So we got one. It was
Please
pretty
tell me
funny. It was
it's
of
about you.
me.
Yes.
Yeah. So we'll wait to reveal it as we have some others. I know a few kids are working on it, but CCB Youth, get on that, send them in. Don't just text them to me, send them to the email so that we can be a little more official like that, because we're trying to be. But yeah, super excited, and there will be a prize for our favorite one. So with that, all right, we're talking about the value of friendship today. I think it's safe to assume, but just to clarify for the viewers, we are all friends here on this podcast. Not only do we work together and or serve together at church, but we do consider each other friends. We really wanted to do this topic specifically because it was presented by Estefania, right? She kind of
Yes, I
suggested
remember
it the
that,
other day
yeah.
on Wednesday
Yeah.
night, and even suggested her and Angie come on. So Angie and Estefania, you guys are pretty close friends. How long have you been friends for?
When was when you came back from Canada?
I moved back at the end of 2019.
Okay.
So
yeah.
around there, I think we had met before that. Like one of the times maybe
Yeah.
I had visited.
Briefly,
Nice.
yeah.
And then, but it was brief. And then like when I moved back, we kind of like, not met again, but it's,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
after you met someone briefly and
It
then
was a
you-
reunion.
Right.
Yeah, it's like
Right.
a reunion, but we didn't know
Yes.
what that reunion would lead to.
Mm.
Yes.
Rashes.
No.
They came
TV,
back.
we're talking about
I'm
their
sorry.
friendship, not ours.
I'm sorry.
Wow.
Oh
Okay.
my
It's just
gosh.
so special to me. I needed to share it.
Yeah. Well.
So I guess like
Yeah.
4 years?
Yeah,
Has that been
4 or
4
5
years?
years.
4 or 5
And is it
Five,
safe
yeah.
to say that like the foundation of your friendship has largely been your mutual community here at the church? Like that's how you guys met each other? Is that where
Yes.
you frequently connect and or associate? I mean, obviously you do stuff outside of the church too, but like
It was actually at a gothic rock concert.
Oh.
They
Yes.
frequent it.
like
Yep.
emo goth
Thursday.
or
And
like
then we went
Yeah.
to
Elmo?
our
Goth?
Yeah.
Elmo?
that's the
Elmo
type of goth that
goth.
I
Oh.
support,
Elmo
but
I feel like you would be good at it.
100%.
Stephanie just said, I feel like you'd be good at that.
yeah, it's like all falsetto with screams.
Yeah.
yeah. Just think of
You kind
like
of sound like Toad though, for a second.
yeah. What can you say? No, but like safe to say, right? Church, faith, community, is that a big
Yes.
part or
Yeah,
aspect?
I mean,
of
it's
the
where we
friendship?
met, and
Yeah.
then, our family, like our parents, were
Mhm.
really good friends too.
Yeah.
And
Would you
then
say it's where you most consistently see each other? I'm just curious. I'm
now,
unpacking.
well, back then
There's
for
seasons,
sure,
I
but
feel
there,
like.
yeah, there are
Yeah.
seasons where we definitely like if we're both busy in our lives. Like,
Yeah.
church is when then we'll see each other the most at.
Yeah.
Right.
But then there are other seasons where
We'll go out for
we'll
lunch.
still go out like almost like weekly or something
Yeah.
like that.
Sleep.
Yeah.
We've had like sleepovers,
Sleepovers,
stuff
Right.
like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Mhm.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Very nice.
but we like to not to make it sound weird. Like, sure, this is like our common ground. This is like mostly, I think you're right, like a common denominator.
Yeah.
I think an important thing to note is that the reason why we're close is because we both are believers, right?
Mhm.
And I think you can be close with non-believers as friends, but only to a certain extent.
Ooh,
There's always going to
okay.
be a line that you just can't connect in, like you can't cross because you guys don't view the world the same way. You guys don't have Christ as the center. You guys
Yeah,
don't,
I agree with
you know,
that.
like, so there's always going to be like some wall that you hit at some point
Yeah.
with a non-believing
Wow.
friend
Yeah.
that you won't be able to get closer to ever.
That's true.
And
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
in our case, obviously we're both believers, so that's why we've been able to get so close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
But
Yeah.
aside from like, I don't know, like superficial things, right?
Sure. So elaborate on that, because I actually love that distinction. I think that's really important for our audience, the CCB youth in particular, right? Like, I love our group. I love seeing the friendship and the close connectedness of so many here in this place. And I know that, like, even beyond church, you still can have other friends who are believers and that kind of thing. But I know, like, when I was in high school, I went to a public high school. I struggled a little bit with finding that appropriate balance between, like, man, these are my friends, my secular friends, and these are my, Christian church friends. And particularly in the world we live in, like, there can be that, enticing draw that can come from those who do not hold to a collective faith, that can be problematic and almost like negative peer pressure and things like that. But then there's also this heart that we're supposed to have for the lost. And I remember, like, having conversations with my mom in high school about, like, hey, like, I'm not doing those things, and even when I'm around, like, my friends don't do those things, and I really feel like I'm being a light in their, lives and drawing them to Christ. And so, I don't know, like, all kinds of thoughts on almost like missionary friendship, even, I don't know, striking that appropriate balance. And maybe I think what I want to hear more from you is, like, what are things that maybe in a friendship with another believer, like Estefania, or like Ethan, if you want to speak to even our friendship, what are things that we can do that still give that joy and that fun and, like, the things that you love about a friendship, that maybe you can't with someone who doesn't know the Lord? I'm just curious, like, what are you guys'
I was thinking of something while you were saying that. I think one of the biggest things I've noticed personally is that, with any friendship, there's going to be a level of advice. But I feel like in my own personal life, like, I have non-Christian friends, from school and work and all. You can't avoid it, right? And then I have Christian friends, obviously. But one thing I've noticed is that any type of advice that I need that's more biblical centered, I just don't even bother bringing that up to non-Christians, because the advice is not centered in the word. And that's not to say, like, I won't ask advice about other things like work and things like that, but I feel like the more present matters I'd rather bring to a friend who's rooted in the Lord, because I feel like the advice is coming straight from the Lord. So I think that's like a big difference that I've seen in my own personal life.
Sure.
I mean, I think friendships are built on meaningful connections. And if your most important thing in your life, the most, I guess your center is Christ, then that's going to be really hard to connect around that. You know what I mean? And that's just
common ground.
When I got saved in high school, it was a complete radical change in my life from what I used to do to what I did then. And I remember, like, having all these friends that, they would do the same things that I used to do. And I just remember, like, slowly, like, there was, like, a greater and greater wedge, like, when I was with them. I loved them. I loved doing silly things like going to Dave & Buster's or whatever, and hanging out. And I still loved being around them, but there's still, like, that center of me that was no longer, like, with them. You know what I mean? And I was like, man. And then I began to hunger for, like, people that I could be extremely, like, real and vulnerable with, like, hey, you want to pray with me? Or hey, you want to do this? Like, I want to read my Bible. Can I tell you about, like, what's in the Word? And that just wasn't there anymore. With them, I didn't have that connection. So I feel like it goes deeper.
That's a good thing too to point out. Like, I feel like when you're a believer and you're walking with the Lord closely, like, the Lord is constantly, like, doing things in your life, revealing His Word to you. Like, and it's so, I feel like it's so amazing when you can talk to a friend and be like, oh my gosh, like, the Lord just, like, he was speaking to me about this, like, he was, like, doing this, or, like, hey, this happened, and I just saw the Lord in that, and stuff like that. Whereas with, like, a non-believer, you could, and not saying that you can't, you could, and you could kind of use it as, like, a light, like, to be a light, or a testimony or something like that. But it's way harder to connect because, like, there's just, like, those personal things that the Lord does in our lives and speak to us. Like, I think those are, like, so important to us, right? Like, those are so personal. Like, I feel like when you can share that with someone, you get so close in a different way that you probably can't. Like there's just so much that you can talk with someone that's not gonna, for me at least, in a conversation that's not gonna end up talking about Christ. Like in a friendship or and not saying that that's all we talk about. Like, we work together, we talk like about silly stuff too, and like other things. We have, we all have hobbies. We all have different things that we like to do, and it's not the only thing. But I feel like at the end of the day, we always end up talking about Christ somehow, some way.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And how are we, like, it's just so hard because I have those friendships too that aren't Christian, like, or like at work or something like that, like, that they're just like, was always like, no matter how close I got, there was just always like you said, like a wedge that just never
Mm-hmm.
allowed us to go
Yeah,
further.
deeper.
Yeah, and even silly things with like how you celebrate things, right? Like how do you celebrate like a birthday? Like, are you guys gonna go? I don't know, like bowling, or are you guys gonna go to a bar or something like that? You know, like to the club. To the club.
Oh my goodness. Oh my
Like,
goodness.
what? Like, okay, well,
The Sam's Club. That's where we be going.
Right on the club. That's where we go to. We frequent
You
the
G
Sam's
with
Club.
it at the Sam's Club. That's all I'm saying. I got snacks.
Or
the Costco
even
guy,
just
okay.
like yeah, like I don't know, like even
You socialize.
you socialize,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
or like
different.
I
It's
got a
different at
promotion,
times.
let's go celebrate where? Get a burger, or
For
let's
us,
go
it's
get ice
boba.
cream, boba,
Right.
or you know, like the world, unfortunately, like in a workplace, oh, you got a promotion, let's go celebrate, let's go get drinks or
Right.
something like that, you
Right.
know. I know a lot of our youth kids aren't there because they're in,
No, but
they're
they
in
will
high
be.
school
They
or
will
middle
be.
school,
Yeah.
but you
You'll
know,
be in
like
college soon
it's
and
like
have something
it's like a
that's
different, yeah.
Yeah.
Temptation's
very
still
true.
there,
Right.
for sure.
Yeah, so in summary, I mean, everything that you guys are saying, and I love this, the reason I ask you this first is so that it eliminates the ambiguity of this comment. Proverbs 27:17 says, as iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another, right? And everything you just said, I mean, literally, the metaphor there is you're not dulling each other. You're not just like metal striking metal and it, you know, creating sparks and it, you know, not being fruitful and oriented towards a particular end. Instead, you have this common goal in mind in which the two are coming together for mutual benefit, right? It's not, and that's maybe kind of like the wedge that you guys are describing. It's not one side is give, the other side is take. That wouldn't be the sharpening effect.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
because of the common worldview, because of your equal emphasis of what matters, your equal understanding and identity because of who you are in Christ and that commonality, there's a sharpening that takes place. And that's where I even listed some other areas beyond just the joy and the fun that often does characterize a friendship. Accountability, right? Like as you're talking, I really did not have accountability with secular friends growing up. I was accountability for some of them, right? Even before they got saved, just the natural guilt associated with certain behaviors, because morality is written on our hearts, being able to be like, hey man, like you don't have to do that, and if you need someone to talk to or, you know, that kind of thing, like I'm around. So there's a huge accountability piece. Estefania kind of talked about like the support piece, counseling, right? Once again, as a believer, you probably feel more inclined to give that advice than to receive it. So that's definitely the goal. I think that's the value of friendship is that iron sharpening iron for each other.
I mean, plus you gotta think about like those experiences that you have with your friends who are not believers. You don't get pulled up, you get pulled down. You know what I mean? And I remember so many times like I would hang out with my buddies who are unbelievers, and it would just be like afterward I would not feel good. You know what I mean? Not that I necessarily would partake in anything crazy, but I just remember afterward being like, I want to get in the Word now. Like I need some time with the Lord.
Yeah, you got to recharge.
Yeah, I gotta recharge. And I just feel like I compromised, you know, in certain areas, and I feel like, man, it's so easy to be brought down than it is to be brought up. And so you just gotta be careful. You gotta have a pulse on it. You know, like where's this friendship leading me personally? Where's
Well,
this
and I'll say
friendship
this,
leading
like,
others? too?
Yeah. For me personally, bro, like in a lot of the surface level friendship stuff, I didn't walk away feeling that way, right? Like
Yeah,
we
these are my
tend-
closest buddies too.
That's true. It's a little bit different context. I'm just thinking like even just as I think back, like it's not all these like servant sacrificial, like high and righteous Caleb. Oh man, I just gave up so much, you know. To be, like I really did get a lot out of the relationship, had a lot of fun, but the depth, right? Like we were the top 10% of the iceberg. We couldn't actually go deep. until we approached, the topic of faith and the concept of it. And that's where mutually, even for those who didn't believe, like I would feel edified or spiritually uplifted if I saw any kind of breakthrough, I won't get into all the stories, but like moments where like, we had a dodgeball outreach and like one of my buddies from high school responded, didn't really stick with it, but like in that moment and in the conversations that followed, man, like I was so elated, like walking away from those moments, even though I don't necessarily think that faith was sincere. I think it was more of an emotional reaction, but like the little bit of fruit and the little bit of the open door, you know?
Still.
Same thing with I got one of my buddies to come with us to a young adults camp that we did here. And similarly, like just the gospel went forth, he responded, very emotional. And like we had some level of follow through that allowed us, right, to dip below the surface. And then in some cases it did stick and it resulted in much more fruitful of friendship, and other times it didn't. So just acknowledging like that piece to it too. If you keep it the 10% surface level stuff, you might not walk away with that.
That's true.
But I forget where I got this from originally. It might have been my youth pastor telling me this. Make sure in those relationships you're always having the greater impact on them than they are on you.
Absolutely.
Because that's what you're saying, getting dragged down. And,
and there's a balance in that too. Don't get rid of those friends. It's a witness. You know what I mean? I had my buddy recently. It was probably a few months ago or so. One of my closest buddies in that group, he called me up and he's like, "Hey man, I just want to let you know, like, I know that I was, somebody who always kind of made fun of you being a Christian. And keep in mind, this is somebody who, he was a Wiccan, so he practiced witchcraft. He was an atheist, a staunch atheist, even though he like participated in witchcraft, like still an atheist. He hated God, hated everything to do with God. And he calls me up and he's like, "Hey man, I just wanted you to know, like, I went through a really hard time in my life, and the Lord found me there, and I just want to live my life for Jesus now."
Yeah.
And he called me up and he said that, and I was brought to tears.
I'm so glad I called you that day.
And that's how their friendship
Yeah,
began.
that's how our friendship began. Still am. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh my goodness. So yeah, man. I mean,
so awesome.
but when that happens, like, it's like, oh my goodness, everything changed. And I didn't hold anything back from him.
Right.
He saw my life, and but he the Lord found him in that place.
Right.
And it's so beautiful to see that change. You know what I mean?
Awesome, man. Okay, so let me throw this at you then, especially for all of us having served in youth group for some length of time. What would you say then to maybe some of our listeners who are like, hey, I had all of these friendships, I cultivated all these friendships apart from the church, got saved or started, going to this church, the Lord changed my life, I'm now separating from all of that, but I'm not connecting with kids at church in that same way yet.
Yeah.
I'm having a hard time, even with the common faith element, like getting below the surface, going deeper. I know you want to talk a little bit about like the facilitation of friendship.
That happened to me.
Yeah. Did it happen to you personally? Here?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
When
I'm so sorry, Angie. I wasn't a good friend to you.
when I first started coming to this church, Caleb, you were a youth kid.
That's right. I was a youth kid.
I was an adult and you were a
Socially
youth
improper.
Yeah. Okay, forget about the first time I ever came to this church. When I moved back from Canada, I was a fish out of water. There were a lot of people here. You guys had a young adults group.
Yeah.
And I was like, you guys didn't. You guys had a young adults group, but everybody already knew each other. Everybody was already really close. I knew a few of you guys, from like when you guys were in youth, but it's different dynamic.
Yeah.
Like you guys are adults now. Like you guys have grown together in a new way, and I'm just like coming back and like trying to fit in or like see or find. And I remember I did have a hard time for a while, like trying to make a good friend.
Yeah.
Like a good solid friend. And not saying that I didn't make friends, I made friends, but friends come and go too, and especially if they're not solid or something like that, I feel like there can be it can fade, like it can be really good for a while, but then it can fade a little bit. You still love them, you're still there for them, but sometimes I don't know, like not only that, but also life happens. Like people get busier, jobs come up. Like a lot of the people at the time, you guys were all like in college studying, and you guys, we all know like what that's like when you're like in the zone for studying, it's like you have no social life, especially depending on what you're studying. You guys both know the medical
Yeah,
field.
that's
You
so
guys
true.
are like
I'm starting to have a social
completely
life
like
again.
I
yeah.
know, me too. I'm like,
so
whoa.
so it was a different season too where I wasn't in that, but
Yeah.
a lot of these people were.
Yeah.
So I really did have a hard time connecting, keeping friendships, like, and also not only like making friends, but like you said, like diving deep with them.
Right.
Like you made the example of here. Yeah, we have this common
Mm-hmm.
base that is like our faith, right?
Right.
But, like there's something that maybe we're not connecting.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I remember I would pray and I would pray and I would pray and I'm like, Lord,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
and there isn't really anybody my age.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's not so much like an obvious thing
Right. Right.
because you enter a certain age where it just doesn't matter anymore.
Right.
Blends.
But like at
Right.
that time,
Yeah,
a lot
yeah.
of them were freshly
You were
like
in the in between.
yeah, it was
the
like
no-no
that
zone.
weird age where everybody's looking at me like you're
Yeah.
in your late 20s and we're like
Right.
barely 20, you know, like
Mhm.
so it's like okay, like what so it was also hard in that sense, but
Yeah.
like I remember praying and praying and I was just like I felt so defeated at times. I did feel really lonely at times and
Yeah.
and I remember seeking friendships outside of church too, like in my work. Well, I work here full time now, but at the time I had like part time. I in retail in different stores. And I remember
Sam's
seeking.
Club. No.
You know, Sam's Club.
At the club.
And not saying like I don't keep contact with those people and I'm not friends with them anymore, but
Right.
like I mentioned before, like you become friends, but there's still gonna also be like a part of you that just can't go further.
Right.
You could if you really want to compromise things,
Mhm,
but there were convictions that I had in my life that I just wasn't willing to compromise.
Right. Right.
So it kind of stayed superficial to a point.
Yeah.
And then
Oh!
well, she was
Yeah.
kind of always there from the beginning.
So is
I
that
was
the
watching from the
lesson?
shadows.
Is that the lesson that you would say though? Is just be patient. to
I'd
just
say
pray?
so.
Good
Yeah.
things
I'd-
come to those
I'd-
who wait.
Resolve. Yeah.
I'd say so. I'd say be patient.
Yeah.
Pray.
Mhm.
Pray for the Lord because
Definitely.
sometimes it could be someone that you maybe are not realizing they can be
Mhm.
your friend.
Mm.
You're maybe thinking of like other people, like, oh, why don't they want to be my friend? Why don't they want to be my friend or something like
Yeah.
that? But this other person could just be like your best friend and you just didn't even know
Right.
it.
You
Right.
didn't.
But also, aside from that, like timing, I mean, the Lord's timing is not our own, right?
Mm.
And I think the Lord wants to grow us in different seasons. And for me, I mean, He taught me to depend on Him more than on other people.
Right.
But friendships are important. I mean,
Yeah.
he calls, like you said, iron sharpens iron. Like it
Yeah.
talks, you know, like it's he gave us friendships for a reason,
Right,
you know,
yeah,
not for
right.
us to just be loners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I feel like like I prayed, I was
Yeah.
patient, I didn't compromise, even
Right.
though I was tempted to, and
Mm.
you know, things like that. So I would
Yeah.
say, like be patient, pray, give it to the Lord, and He will open that door. He will help you connect. And I think too, just like, with those people at church,
Mhm.
like give it time, give it
Right.
time because it's not gonna happen like right away too.
Mhm.
Like everybody is different.
Mhm.
Some people are a bit more shy than others. Some people have a hard time opening up than others. Like I was kind of like that. Like I still kind of am like that at times where if I don't know you very well, I don't know what to talk to you about.
Mm.
I don't know what to ask. I'm just gonna ask you the same question every time I see you. Like, so how's your work going?
How the
You
kids?
literally asked me this 5 minutes ago. Well, how's it going now?
What's your name?
Did anything change in the last 5 minutes?
so how's it going?
Where are you from?
You know, like I just like it's just harder for some people to open up to others, and I'm so glad Estefania is not like that. She's so
I'm the
she can talk
opposite.
to literally
Estefania,
anyone.
I
I can
remember-
talk to a rock.
We
She can,
we went-
and she will know the whole Rock's life story.
Do you remember, Estefania? We took early in young adults. We took a trip to Triumph.
Yes.
And I just remember
Me,
we're
Courtney, and Hope.
yes,
Yeah.
and we're in the thick of an just in case you don't know what that is, it's like a big zip lining ropes course up and through the trees, and you progressively get higher and the obstacles get more intense. It's super fun. But we're out there, we're in the thick of the ropes course, and I hear Estefania chatting, and I'm like, oh, she's talking to Hope, she's talking to Courtney. Look back, nope, it's like a random old lady, and Estefania is just like chatting her up, encouraging her. Like,
I got the little straps,
yeah,
the hat.
right.
Like, so how's it going?
Exactly.
Doing
What brought
good?
you
Just like
here?
doing their thing back there, and I was like, I tend to be a pretty like social, chatty person, and even I was like, wow, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah. That's happened
pretty
several
crazy.
times.
Yeah. So yeah, give it time because like, maybe it's hard for you to open up or
Right.
like approach people or something like
Yeah.
that. But
Yeah.
maybe it's hard for others as well.
Right.
But it will happen. Like
Yeah.
the Lord will bring that
Yeah.
person that knows that if you don't talk, they'll talk to you.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Bring that
true.
Estefania into your
And
life.
I'd like to add something to that too. So, you know, a lot of people use this advice for like when you're, you know, starting to pray to the Lord for a spouse or a partner about qualities that you'd like in a spouse. And I think you can also pray about qualities you want in a friend.
Wow.
You know, because we never really think about it. We're just like, oh, like, oh, I'd like to have friends, but it's like, it goes both ways. Where I've heard this advice that I really like as far as like marriage, right? It says, like who you want as a person, but who you want to be for that person. And it can be the same for friends. Like, what kind of friend should I be, and then what kind of friend do I want? You know. So I feel like it's very easy to be like, oh, I want this, I want that, I want that. But it's like, are those things present in your own life?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. No, that's
Yeah, I think that's
huge.
important to think about it that way
That's
too.
a great
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Chiefy,
I
yeah.
remember that time. So I said that I had some friends in high school. Yeah, I had those buddies, but on the back end, my senior year, senior year, as I was like really starting to follow the Lord, and everything was going for Him. I remember day after day after day, I would leave my classes, and I would like be going out to my car to go home, and I just remember being so sad and so defeated so many times because I was like, I just want like a Christian friend to like help me, and also I could help them in like my walk with the Lord. Like I just want someone like iron sharpens iron, just to be there. And I was like, I remember praying so many times, and I remember talking to my mom like, wow, it's like, I just want like good Christian solid friends. And there wasn't like a huge like young adult presence or youth presence at our church that we were going to in New York. And so I just remember I was just so lonely and so frustrated. And I remember day after day after day, and as the years progressed, the Lord taught me a lesson, and He spoke to me. And He said to me, He's like, listen, all you need is me right now. Yeah. That's all that you need. If you needed friends, I would give them to you. You're in the fellowship. You're at church. You're fellowshipping. That's good. But I want
Did
you
you
to
just say
first.
fellow shimmy?
You're
You're shimmy?
we're fellow shimmies as we shimmy. No, I was doing all the things that I needed to do, but the Lord wanted to teach me a lesson that first and foremost, everything that I needed to be founded in Him, and I couldn't rely on someone else to push me or help me in the faith. And then when I got here to New York, when I got here to Florida, the first year was the same thing. I was like, I'm going to connect as soon as I get to Florida. Well, I got to Florida, and I actually didn't connect. And
We
it
rejected you.
hurt even more because I went to my school, Southeastern, thinking there's all these Christian kids here. There's no way that I can't find like Christian friends here at this Christian private college. Okay? I've got to.
Surprise!
Well, I didn't. I didn't connect to anyone. I didn't feel included. I didn't connect. And again, I felt so lonely. I was like, man. But once again, I continue to press in with the Lord. I continue to give my whole heart to Him, just focus on Him, and eventually continue to just surrender that desire and passion to Him, and knew that He'd provide what He needed in the season that I needed it. And eventually, I remember my mom. She saw like what I was dealing with, and she just kept praying and praying and praying and praying for me. And that's eventually when I got plugged into the young adults group here. And I started meeting all new people, and I was so excited to
You
like
walked in chatting
make
with
friends.
Nate, and I'm like, oh, Nate knows this guy. Nope,
I
first time
walked-
they met.
I walked into that young adult, and I was determined, I'm going to make friends.
Oh, okay.
I'm like, I'm going to make friends. So I walk in, and I'm like, I scan the crowd, and I'm like, who am I going to like talk
Also,
to?
Ethan's first time at a young adults wasn't a regular young adults. It was a Halloween. It was a
Halloween or
it was a
Christmas?
Halloween
I
party,
think
right?
that was
Wasn't
like
it?
one of the second.
Oh, the second,
Second
one.
time. It was one of the first, but
Yeah.
the first time I remember just walking through the doors,
Yeah.
and I remember Nate sitting there with Becca, And I thought, oh, this dude and his girlfriend are sitting here. Let me talk. Let me talk to them. This was his sister. But I was like, oh, let me talk to them. They're not talking to anyone. So I come up and I chat with them. Like, hey, how you doing? What's your name? You know. I was like, but I'm an introvert, so I was like really going for it. And I just remember like trying time after time after time to talk to people. And eventually, it took a lot of time. It took a lot of time to like meet people and put myself out there. Like I had to be so brave because it is so intimidating to go out and like talk to people you don't know and share things about yourself.
Tell that to Estefania.
Then you met
Well-
Caleb. Well, the same thing with you. Then you met Caleb, and Caleb did all the talking for you.
Yeah, that's true.
I do enough talking for everybody.
But I remember I felt like the first thing was realizing that I had all that I need in Christ and seeking him. The second thing was prayer, like you said, Angie. Like I needed to pray. And it was the prayers of my mom's that then like got me into fellowship with other people and brought those friends that I prayed for and I wanted.
And I think in that waiting period, like the Lord grows you in different ways
Oh,
too.
he
Like you
definitely
said,
does.
like he not only wants you to understand, like all you need is in him right now,
Yeah.
but he's trying to work in you. Like he's working you for who knows what reason. You might not know for a while, but like he
And
is,
that,
you know.
that pairs super well with what Estefania was saying too. Like you should, during that season of wandering and absence of community or friendship, like self-reflect and be like, what am I actually looking for in a friend? And am I trying to model that myself?
Yeah.
Because that in itself could be the very work that you're doing,
Yeah.
right? Like I, similarly to how you compared
That's
it to
true.
like single people in marriage, like I tell single brothers all the time, like, hey, odds are God is not, providing that person or allowing you to make that connection because you've got work you need to do. And I'm not saying that like it's exclusively that, but this could be a great time for you to learn and reflect and figure out like, man, am I really, doing everything I can to be prepared to in the spouse context, like lead, her or operate in this capacity. And that's the same thing as a friend, right? Like if that relationship is truly going to be iron sharpening iron and not just them giving all and you taking all because you're hurt and burned out, like maybe the Lord's trying to teach you a level of independence,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely.
So, yeah.
And it can be hard too when you're like, for example, when I first got back, it's not that I didn't have friends. All my friends were in Canada. Like Emily, Pete,
you
Kendra,
separated, left
like they were
community.
all my best friends were still left there.
Russell.
Russell, good old Russ.
That's my dog.
Russ is
That's
what
my
I always
dog.
called him.
Uh-huh.
And then also I did have like I still have like good childhood friends in Puerto Rico as well, but they weren't here, so it's really like also like don't compare other people to your friends. Like if you want to make new friends, if you want to make friends, don't be like, well, they're not like my best friend Emily, or they're not like my best friend like Russell. My name's Russell.
Just so you know, listeners, Russell, I'm actually referring to the kid from Up. That was Angie's best friend in Canada. She just would throw on that movie in the background.
The movie's always been super
She'd be
meaningful
like-
for me.
She'd be like, sure, you can help me cross the street. Don't worry about it.
Can I help you?
Kevin's a girl. Let's go find her.
Yeah. But yeah, like don't compare like your friends with each other, because and don't compare other people with them and be like, you don't try to. It's like almost not on purpose, but trying to replace them, like because
you
they're
are.
not here anymore.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like
You're trying to make them something they're
Yeah.
not. And that's gonna be hurtful for them.
yeah,
Being
exactly.
like, I don't want that. I am who I am.
Mhm.
Absolutely. So there's a few things that we talked about. Prayer. Well, first finding your independence in Christ, then prayer. Then I would also say, just like super practically speaking, being brave enough to introduce yourself and being brave enough to go out on a limb and open up.
Even in this culture and world of, I'll just text them. Oh, I'll just slide it into the DMs.
Oh, you know what?
Oh,
That's
I'll
a good
No.
segue to what
Well,
with what you're saying. Be
introduce
brave
yourself.
to introduce yourself. Don't just sit with your phone on a chair and expect someone to just walk up to you.
Odds are, here at church, somebody will. But, and their name will be Mr. Tim Reynolds. But real talk. No, like exactly. That it's right back to what I said.
And I mean, you will be friends with Tim, which is
You
great.
will,
But
everybody will. Best friend. No, but like is that modeling the behavior you're hoping to receive?
Yeah.
No. So yeah, be brave enough to go introduce
Yeah.
yourself.
Absolutely,
Yeah, I love
yep.
that.
So be brave enough to introduce yourself, and then also try and find common ground with that person.
Mm.
When you do talk to somebody, try and find some similarities. Try and talk about what you like, and try and find out what they like. And then be vulnerable, because you're not going to go anywhere unless you're vulnerable with that person, open. Vulnerability sparks more vulnerability. And so if you close yourself off and are unwilling to share with other people, then they're also going to be unwilling to share with you, most likely. And so it's going to be really hard for you to actually build any meaningful friendships. And then finally being intentional to build that friendship. Just like any relationship, your relationship with Christ requires you to be intentional and spend time with them and cultivate that relationship with him. And so also with your relationship with other people, your relationship with your friends. So that's what I would
That's so good.
put in a
bro.
few different things.
Yeah.
And if you need tips on how to introduce yourself, you could always do Buddy the Elf's introduction. Like, hi, but this is Buddy the Elf. What's your favorite color? You just start off with people's favorite colors. I've actually done that when I've introduced myself to people. I'm like, hi, I'm Angie. And then if I don't know how to, I'm like, so what's your favorite color?
Yeah.
It throws people off so much
Oh, yeah.
because adults don't do that to each other.
Right.
So it throws them off.
Right.
But then they start laughing, and I feel like it brings the guard down
Breaks the
too,
ice.
breaks
Yeah.
the ice, and they're actually like, some people either know right away, they're like, oh, my favorite color is green. Or some people are like, nobody's asked me that question in years. I let me think, like, what's my favorite color, or like things like that. And I'm like, this is great.
I had a friend in high school whose go-to, like, starting, comment like that, how he'd introduce himself is he'd walk up and he'd just go, hey, quick question for you. How much does a polar bear weigh? And then
That's so funny.
you get a variety of
Yeah.
answers,
I love it.
but then after
400,
most
600
people
pounds?
would say something to like, I don't know exactly. He'd be like, I've always just thought enough to break the ice. Hi, I'm
Oh, that's
Good.
cool.
so good.
That is so
Oh,
good.
that's
So
good.
good.
I'm
I
like
love that
So
so
good.
much.
Yes.
Man.
It
Put it
worked
in
very
your
well
little
for him. I'll just say.
Oh, I'm gonna get that tattooed on my forehead. Okay. Yeah, that's so funny. I remember.
need that.
I remember Jairus did that to me. Not the
Yes.
polar
Oh,
bear
the
thing.
color one,
He
yeah.
does the color
The
thing.
color thing, right? Yeah.
Oh man, he totally. I was like,
Jairus.
was
What's your
not
favorite color?
expecting it.
Yeah.
Jairus would walk around.
It was so. I
sometimes,
felt like so like. Oh.
Yeah, we're tight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like,
so
okay.
He the first time I really met Jairus, he walked up to me and he said, "Give me your life story in as few words as possible." Like
That's not on
You
spot
say,
or anything.
I
Amazing,
am
yeah.
dumb.
uh,
Like that.
Russell Pro. I don't know.
hello.
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 Also, let's point out how Jairus' answer to the "What's your favorite color?"
Surfing
also
is
like
highly
no,
intentional.
but also leads to more conversation
does.
because it's like a specific kind of green, and then he searches it to show you,
you,
so you
yes,
know,
yes.
and then you're like, wow,
He
like
totally does.
like
Yeah.
I need to find
Yeah,
such a
there's-
specific
There's
color
an
like that now
intentionality.
that it's like wisteria or something like that.
Is that a color?
It's a Crayola color name.
Wisteria?
Wisteria. It's like a purple.
lilac.
Yeah, like a purpley something.
What
Wow,
did
you
have?
knew
Oh.
that. I had a band.
It was the Band-Aid. I remember. I was like, why do I remember that so vividly? And she had a
It's a
Crayola
flower,
Yeah.
Band-Aid that
It's a
was.
flower too. I don't
It's
know
a,
if
it's
you
a
know.
it was I always buy kid band-aids, and I bought like a Crayola band-aid set,
Okay,
and
nice.
each Crayola band-aid had the color that the
Wisteria.
band-aid was. So
Alright, I like it.
I just remember because you pointed out, you're like, wisteria, what's that?
It sounds like you've been crying. Like
Yeah,
you're
like you're in
hysterical.
you're yeah, you're right.
You're hysterical.
So yeah,
That's good.
good icebreaker questions,
No,
guys.
I like it though. Yeah, so
That's
you
cool.
said be brave enough to introduce yourself, find common ground. I think that's a huge thing too. Like oftentimes we tell our youth kids like, hey, go introduce yourself to that new person, like that kind of thing. And it's like, hey, I'm so and so. How are you? Cool. Let me show you around. Okay, have a good day. And like there isn't that additional step beyond like the introducing yourself to the like, let's find some sort of common, connection that we can talk about, build upon. So I love that that's right following that thing.
Yeah.
And then, like vulnerability, if you're able to walk into a relationship with that is amazing. But oftentimes that is earned and given over time. You
It
know?
totally can be.
Can I go back? Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm just having a hard time moving on from that finding common ground one because
Okay, what you
I'm
got?
really
Yeah.
curious what you guys have to
Use
say
common ground.
on like how to find that common ground with someone you're just meeting and maybe you are introvert like me, like you just don't know how to necessarily go about the conversation. Okay, like you use the example of like introduce yourself when you tell youth kids, right? Like how would you go from like if you're encouraging this one of our regular youth kids to introduce themselves to someone new, how would you encourage them to find common ground in just like a right away meeting? Like I will say something I have learned from Estefania a lot, and I've told her multiple times, is like I shouldn't be afraid to ask questions. Ask questions. People don't usually like unless they're like a grumpy person, like usually they won't mind answering your questions as long as you're not like, hey, what blood type are you? You know, like, don't be weird. Keep those for your close friends.
I asked someone that one time and they said all of them.
Okay.
Well,
But
we
like,
know.
how would like that's one thing
diverse.
that's one thing I've noticed whenever we go places and we do encounter like talking to strangers or something like that, and I see Estefania how she interacts with them, and I'm learning from her, and I've learned from her. I'm like, don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to be curious, and don't be afraid to compliment people too. Like not in a weird way, but like, oh my gosh, I love your shoes. I love your bag, or something like that. Like things like that. Like and it causes conversation. It makes people feel good too, because you're not like, I don't know, like being weird or you're not making it awkwardly like forceful, because sometimes people can feel like this person's like really trying and now it's gotten awkward and what are we doing? It's like, what kind of dance are we dancing?
My bad,
so like
bro.
on
I
you
thought
on
this
you
was a tango.
on your side.
Bro, I was going to cucaracha the whole time. What the heck?
You always cucaracha, my friend. Yeah, I mean, I think for me, Angie, like, and this is even, I mean, it's a daily, like, growing into this and struggling with this because it's not always perfect, but common ground, I think, is just found in, like, genuinely trying to observe and listen, right?
Yeah.
Like, something about someone, even if it's not said or spoken, is going to catch your attention if you're really looking, you know? So it could be like the shirt that they're wearing, could be like the type of shoes they got on, could be like, I remember like when I met Micah had a headphone in, and I asked him like, hey, what are you listening to? It was K-pop. But like,
perfect segue for him.
You have no idea what that is. Tell me about it.
Correct. And that's what I just say.
Caleb
Like,
didn't.
I had no idea.
I
either.
knew what it was.
I had no idea what it was. I was like, what is it? Show me. Who is it?
But like music,
I knew
right, being something that I for sure could like relate to, and so it just like just became something that we could talk about, you know. So just, you know, like you said, asking questions is huge, especially if you don't notice something off the cuff. But like,
or if it's harder for them to also talk.
Right. But I mean, really, like, just this is a person. You don't have to be Sherlock Holmes to notice something that distinguishes them that can probably catch your attention and result in
and if you don't,
something common.
Yeah, if you don't, you can always just ask. So, what are some things you like to do? You know, and like find out that way. And I think it boils down to like how much do you actually want to know that person? Because you're going to find out things about them. You're going to learn about them if you try hard enough.
Right.
But if you don't, you're like, I just really don't care. You know, and unfortunately, a lot of times that's what we think or that's what we feel. You know.
Yeah, and that's
just
what,
really
it's from that care that you lead into vulnerability.
Right.
You know?
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
That feeling
really
of this person like genuinely cares. They're actually interested, so we can actually I can be real about who I am, that kind of thing.
Absolutely.
And then from there, like, don't let it just stop. Keep building. Be intentional. Those are super good points, bro. I love it.
Praise the Lord.
All right. Any final comments? Anything before we take a break and then we transition to our
Final
game?
thoughts, final compathies.
Man.
Compathies?
Yeah, feelings.
Compathies? Is that what you said?
Angie's always got the word for today.
That's a real thing? Compathies?
Feelings, yeah.
Compathies means
Compathy,
feelings?
yeah.
What? I'm going to have to check
I
that
feel like I
out.
had that moment the other day.
There
What
you
did you
go.
say?
I probably said the same thing, and you're probably like, what?
I think it was.
Compathy.
Or something.
The definition is a noun that means sharing the feelings.
I was like
Oh.
empathy.
It's like, yeah, I guess so. Like
It's like companionship and empathy.
Oh, I
Compathy.
see. I like it.
Oh,
Compathy.
man,
Wow,
that's
there you
cool.
go. Boom shagalaga.
Wow.
We got compathy.
Yeah.
I love it.
Good feelings. Like it
Yeah,
does specify
yeah.
it's like happiness or something.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that, like,
Nice.
So not like angry.
All
Angry feelings.
I'm sharing my anger
Not
with
like
you.
angry feelings.
Love it.
That's awesome.
All right, y'all. We're going to take a break, but that's basically our conversation on the value of friendship.
Compathy.
Yeah, I was
On
trying. That's
company.
that was on my mind. Value of friendship. Here's another break, and then we'll be back. What's up, podcast listeners? If you find yourself in the Tampa Bay area on Friday, December 20th, we invite you to our church-wide Christmas party here at Calvary Chapel, Brandon. It's going to be a great evening of food and games and fellowship. We're really looking to make sure that those who have started attending our church recently are getting connected and plugged in with friends and fellowship. And this is an evening that, contrary to a typical service, offers a little bit more time for fellowship and discussion. So we really hope to see you there. And if you need more information on that, you can go to our church website, calvarychapelbrandon.org. Now, beyond that, if you are in the CCB youth group, we, that same night, are actually going to go from the Christmas party into a CCB Youth the House Christmas after party, in which the evening will continue. We're going to have a all-nighter and lock-in full of activities here at the church over the course of that evening into Saturday morning. And once again, under the same note, it's really just a great opportunity to celebrate Christmas in like-minded company, get to know some people that you might not otherwise have had time to connect with, and we look forward to supervising a really fun and safe evening for all of our CCB youth. So if you're in 6th through 12th grade, you can come on out to that. You can talk to me or another leader, or even send a question in to the ccbyoutthehouse@gmail.com email, and we'll try to get back to you. But otherwise, once again, that's on December 20th through the 21st if you end up staying for the youth after party. And we are looking forward to seeing you there. Thanks. All right, friends, we're back. Quick housekeeping item that we kind of just realized. More than likely, we will not have an episode next week because it is Christmas Eve, and with the hustle and bustle of the service, Ethan and I will very likely not get to record that day. So enjoy, get caught up on the episodes you haven't listened to, and we'll do one the week after, probably with some other new guests. All right, with that, we are going to be playing a new game today. Wow. Should have come up with
Charades.
a clever name for it. Christmas traditions, real or fake? That's what I got on the paper. Basically, what's going to happen is I'm going to read to you all a Christmas tradition, and I am going to, one at a time, ask you guys to provide an
True,
answer
false.
as to whether you think
False,
it is
true.
a real tradition or a
True
fake
and
tradition.
false.
I will tell the listeners,
It's
all of
Medium.
these,
It's trolls.
all of the ones that are real are not just like traditions that like, oh, an individual family or something does, because probably all of these could be those things. It's more like these are like national, like,
Actual tradition.
yeah, traditions that lots of
Around
people
the world.
practiced
That are
either
real.
at different points in our nation's history or even like across other nations, cultures, communities, etc. So bear with me on that. We've got quite a few of these. All right, Chiefy, we're going to start with you.
Uh-oh.
All right. Is this a real or fake Christmas tradition? It's called the Yule Goat. A giant straw goat is erected as the symbol of holiday cheer, as derived from ancient pagan festivals.
I know that's real because my family does it every year.
Oh, but once again, it can't be just your family.
My extended family.
Are you serious?
Goat.
Yeah, all the way in Caracas, Venezuela.
Are you serious?
No, I'm just kidding. No,
Oh
of course
my
not. It's
goodness.
true though. I'm
It
guessing.
is.
Is it right?
It's true.
I
It
thought
is
it
true.
was too outlandish not to
It's
be
like
true.
You
It's
don't have
practiced
Venezuelan
in
family members that
Sweden.
think
They
you
don't
always
know that.
forget.
Yeah. I was like, whoa, okay. Yeah, practiced in Sweden. The Yule Goat. Okay, very good.
It's
a Scandinavian.
That's a
Oh,
it's
Angie
called
probably
the
like
Yule
it.
goat.
Julegoten.
You- That's actually so much more accurate.
Alright.
I love
gosh.
it. Wow, Julengoten. That's amazing. All right, 1 point for Chiefy. I was thinking in my mind play to 3, but if we hit it too fast, we can say play to 5.
I'm curious
We'll
of
see.
what tradition you've made up.
Just you wait. Just you wait.
Is it gonna be so bizarre, or is it gonna actually
All right.
sound somewhat similar?
I feel like even the
So
non-made up ones
I'll
are
say
bizarre.
this too. The
Oops, sorry.
title, so like they're the Yule Goat,
Mm-hmm.
those are all things I came up with as a result of reading the tradition
Okay,
itself.
okay.
So don't be under the impression if it's like, oh, that's a really smooth title, or oh, that's a clunky title. I came up with all the titles. They weren't
But you're reading the
necessarily-
description.
But the
of
description,
tradition, yeah.
well, I wrote I like wrote and paraphrased the descriptions too. I didn't direct
Yeah,
copy or
but-
paste because then the ones I wrote might have seemed a little out of pocket too. So
But you got the info.
I've summarized all of them. So it's all supposed to sound like I wrote it, just so you know.
Okay.
Don't, but the
Okay.
tradition can be real even if the description is not.
Oh.
Track it
Oh,
with me.
that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So don't. If
Sneaky.
you're like, wow, that was really well worded. Don't be under the impression that one that's not so
Couldn't
well
have
worded.
been
I wrote
killed.
them all. I
It was
wrote 'em
too
all.
good.
All right.
Too good.
Okay, Angie, this is a version of naughty or nice via candy or rotten potatoes being
That's
placed
better.
in shoes that have been left outside the door.
Mm.
So you're deemed naughty or nice based off of what is left in your shoe. Could be candy if you're nice, or rotten potatoes if you were naughty.
Man. I already have rotten
This is a hard one
potatoes.
because I do know that there is a
By myself.
tradition where they leave shoes outside
Mm.
and they get something, but I just can't remember if it's candy and potatoes. So I don't know if that's the slight differences that you're changing, or if you're completely making up completely new traditions in your
Not
list.
get- not gonna tell you.
So I'm like, I can't remember what it is, but I know there's somewhere in some country people leave their shoes out for Christmas, and like usually gets replaced with a gift or something like that. So I'm not sure if it's candy or potatoes.
Take your shot. Yay or nay? What do you think? Real or fake?
Real.
It is a real tradition.
Okay.
It is
Really?
in Iceland.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I knew it was somewhere up.
These European
I want a
over
rotten
there.
potato in my
I
shoe.
love
That's
like traditions
awesome.
from those countries. Like
They have very
it's so
interesting
interesting. Like I love I've told Ethan that I love
Yeah.
Scandinavian Christmas traditions and just like
That's
the
why we're going to get
the-
a Yule goat or whatever the heck you call that
the
thing.
artsy
Is this
part of it too,
sweets?
like the way they
Mm.
decorate
this-
and gnomes and things like that. Yeah.
Like lots of.
I don't know. I think it was the Randall's influence in me.
There you go. Boom. Hold on. I'm sorry. I'm just making sure I'm like indicating which ones we already did. Okay, Estefania, you are up. Let's see. Hide the brooms. All right. Christmas tradition in which the participating individuals feel the need to hide all of their brooms away out of fear that evil spirits will come in the night and use them, particularly witches who might fly away on them.
It's gonna be
The
so hard
night
to just buy a new
before
broom, huh?
Christmas, the people would come in and hide away all their brooms.
At
True,
first, I thought like
real
they'd be scared
thing.
to use them. I was gonna say I wouldn't be scared if someone wants to
Yeah,
sweep
the
my house.
Witches, y'all want to sweep my house up?
Sleep.
Come on in. My house is much scarier than you.
Take my
The
broom.
things on my floor.
Right. I got 2 kids, man. Y'all don't even know. Real or fake? What you think?
I feel like that's fake.
Fake? Wow. It's real.
Really? Where is it? Where is it from?
Norway.
Of course.
Norway.
Europeans with their fun little traditions.
Witchy
They
stuff.
hide the brooms. And I
I'm going
forget.
to try that on my mom.
Remember too, some of these
She
might
asked me to
not be
mop them.
necessarily
Just on
things that are
Christmas Eve, tell your
practiced
mom, "Mom, we
today.
gotta go hide
Oh,
the
that's
brooms."
true.
Mom, I
Used to
can't
say
broom.
that.
I don't know where the
In
brooms
times
are. I hid them
past.
so that the witches don't find them.
I can't.
All right. Chiefy, I'm gonna give you this one.
Oh, no.
Pet merry-go-round. The people dress their pets up in Christmas attire and they pose on a community merry-go-round as a means of spreading Christmas cheer within the town square.
That's not real. Can we please make that real?
Is that real?
I want it to
I
be
had a
real.
hoot browsing around considering these things. So,
And dude, I know you're crazy, but I don't think you're that crazy. I think that's real.
you think that one's real?
Yeah.
That one is fake.
I knew it. I was like, that sounds like something Caleb would make
I
up.
love that you made that up.
Also, my question, can we make, since we're deciding we want it to be real, can it be all kinds of pet, like even farm
Oh, yeah.
pets?
Like
Yeah.
chickens?
Let's
Like
like,
Like,
a,
You know,
oh,
if you need-
like
like a goat, like put a little sweater on a goat.
I want my pet snail. Gary.
I
Snails.
thought Angie was your
Meow.
pet.
No, no, not true.
I'm just a slippery snail.
That's amazing. All right, Angie, you ready? Let's see if I can get through this.
I think I'm ready.
This tradition is called the defecating log.
I'm done. That's it.
Defecating log.
Okay.
Okay. The individuals who participate in this take a hollowed out log of sorts. They fill it with candy and treats, and they draw a face on it. And then on Christmas Day, they treat it like it's a piñata. They beat it with sticks until the sweets come out the back of the log. And they sing a song in their native language that translates roughly to, if you crap well, we will have a great day.
Watch this. This is probably real.
So, defecating log.
I
Defecating
really am very scared to say yes or
I feel like
no.
this is like from Switzerland
I
or
want that.
something.
I'm gonna
Um,
do that. Can we do that? I want to do that.
I don't know. I know like there's a lot of there's the
it's all
Yule
good,
log
Steven.
tradition,
Mhm.
so that's also could be another thing, another log version of it.
Another log version.
Log
Log
version.
version.
Darker, scarier.
They do something similar in Puerto Rico.
No.
Something else.
All right, final answer. What do you got?
He said they get a hollowed one, they fill it with candy,
Or sweets.
draw a
or-
face,
Yep, on it.
and then beat it like a piñata until it poops it out.
I love that.
I'm gonna say true.
It is real. It is a real thing.
No,
I
it's
It
am
sounds
not
just
kidding you.
out of pocket
I
for
did
it to
not
be.
come up with that. I promise you.
Where's that from?
Spain.
Oh my god.
My people.
My
Yep.
ancestors.
Dude, I could
My
not.
ancestors.
I saw that and I was like,
Can't wait.
That is crazy.
We should do it.
So 1 point, 2 points. Stephanie, you're
I'm
out.
just gonna do that to me for
Dude,
Christmas.
I want to do
I'm gonna
it.
give you a
She's
hollow
gonna
out.
stuff me with candy and beat me.
I want to know what the actual name of it is.
Yeah, it literally like it's something in Spanish. Oh yeah, so you would know.
Yeah, why don't
I
you
think
do
it was.
Look, someone wants to Google the song.
Yeah, I think it translated to.
Pooping log.
Yeah.
Oh.
Pooping.
We won't translate it in Spanish.
Oh no. Okay. Let's keep it moving.
Why does it have uncle on there?
Oh no.
All right.
It basically translates to pooping.
Estefania, here we
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
The treetop launch. I feel like this is appropriate considering we talked about the triumph, right? When determining the perfect Christmas tree, the family or group will bend the tree down at an angle and then, like as a group, as a family, and then they let go with the smallest person still holding on. If the tree stands back up straight, it's a good tree. If not, they keep moving. If it stays
Wait, what
sagging down.
happens to the little person?
They stay there.
I feel like I'm gonna be wrong again. I feel like that's fake.
You think that's fake?
Yeah.
That one is fake.
Oh.
I knew
Yeah.
it. You got
My
it right.
cousins and I actually did that once.
I know. Wait, did
I was
someone?
the little guy.
And you
We
stayed
literally
on the
bend it
tree.
down, I would hold on to the tree. They'd all let go, and I.
What kind of
West
tree
Virginia.
was this?
We're talking a huge, like pine
Outdoor.
tree, huge
Oh,
outdoor
okay,
pine
okay,
tree.
okay.
Yes,
Oh my
so fun.
gosh.
Loved it. Loved every second of it.
Oh, yeah. That's
All right, very nice.
Oh
So
my
Stephanie,
goodness.
is that your
I'm
first
not
point?
surprised.
You got
Yes.
one. All right, 1, 1, 2.
Two.
Chiefy, we're back to
All right,
you.
let her rip.
If your mic dies, then just swap with Angie and
I'm
you guys can
keeping
both
my
use
eyes
it.
on
Yeah,
it.
just as long as the light's on, we're good to go. All right.
Surround
Chiefy.
sound.
Skating Christmas. Okay, you ready? It's an interesting take. In this more warm climate, it became precedent for various members of the community to collectively get together and travel to church on roller skates during the duration of the holiday season. So anytime they would specifically go to church, they'd suit up in their roller skates and travel to church in like fashion.
That's down in Verbiage.
I
so.
feel like that's true because I've seen Pastor Mark ride up in his roller skates.
Well, I'm not talking
So-
just specific people,
Oh,
whole
that's
community,
right.
right? This is a whole, like, cultural phenomenon.
I'm gonna have to say that's true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. Happens
Where
in
is it?
Venezuela.
Oh, my people.
Not your people, Ethan.
That's right. I look Venezuelan to you.
That's hilarious. All right, Angie, leaving a red candle lit in the group of people's window every night during the holiday season.
A red light?
A red candle.
Candle.
What does it
lit.
symbolize? What's the purpose?
I didn't write anything down related to that.
I think that's true.
Think it is true?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds kind of creepy.
Is it
It
false?
is.
Oh, okay.
Yep,
Oh,
the
you
Irish.
You got me there almost. Ooh,
Yeah.
that's your people.
Why are we doing such weird things? I like the potato better. Let's go back to
So
that.
That's 3,
Yeah.
2, 1. All right, we'll keep
you
playing
got
until I
three.
run out,
That's
but
your
we'll just
people.
see.
Oh, you're
We'll just
pretty
see.
good.
I've got
That's
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
Well, your
7
people
left.
beating along, so.
All right, so
They're
we're
not
sitting
my
at
people,
2,
they're
3,
my
1.
sisters'
Estefania's up.
Close enough.
Okay.
My people are Puerto Rican.
Estefania, the Christmas pickle. You hide a glass pickle ornament deep within the branches of your Christmas tree. The first child to spot the pickle on Christmas morning receives an extra gift or gets to open the first present. And yes, that's it. That's the tradition.
That is true.
That is true? You're sure? You're
I'm locked
familiar?
in.
Yes? Have you done this before?
Family members have.
Done that? Yes. Okay, it is true. The Christmas pickle.
Angie
it's a
didn't believe me
German
that that
thing.
was real. I told
Okay,
her about
I'm
it.
so glad you said that.
Ethan has done it, or you've told me about it.
No,
because
I
you
haven't done
told
it.
me
I
about
just
it.
want to do it in the future.
Most believe it's a German thing. Reality is, that's what I actually
that where you
skipped
got it
over
from,
because I
from
copied and
Germany?
pasted
I
this
didn't.
in.
No, I didn't.
Though often thought to be an old German tradition, this festive hide and seek game actually originated in America during the late
Wow.
1800s
Huh.
when Woolworth stores began importing glass ornaments shaped like fruits and vegetables from Germany. So the pickles would come from Germany,
wonder
but
why
it
a
was
pickle.
Americans who would
Yeah,
do
why
it.
the pickle of all the
I
fruits
have
and
no idea.
vegetables?
It's a weird thing.
The
All right.
glass pickle.
So that's 2, 2, 3.
That was
Here
a
we
real
go.
pickle.
Keep going.
Darn it.
Chiefy. This group of people, due to popular advertising during a particular era of their culture and history, began going to KFC for Christmas dinner, and it stuck and has continued into the present day. Very
For
special
Christmas
dinner,
dinner.
KFC.
A special group of people?
In a country that's not America? Wait,
Could be.
KFC's American?
I don't.
But
I'm
there's
not
KFCs other
confident.
places,
I
right?
feel like I haven't seen a ton of people at KFC's on Christmas. I'm gonna have to say that's fake.
You think it's fake?
Yeah.
I knew it.
Oh,
I've heard of that.
Japanese.
What?
I'm not even kidding
Japanese?
you. Every list I looked at of weird and bizarre Christmas traditions, apparently the Japanese go to town on KFC on Christmas.
Wow, I didn't know there was
KFC did this really extended,
No way.
like, corporate ad sponsorship of, like, Christmas KFC boxes one year that went really popular in Japan. Most Japanese don't even celebrate Christmas, but on that day in Japan, they all go to KFC. I was like, this is crazy.
That's so interesting.
Dude,
yeah,
that's so
Japanese
awesome.
Japan is such
KFC
an
Christmas.
I'm
interesting place
Japanese
I
now. I'm
wanna
gonna
go.
get rid of
I wanna go to
KFC.
Gotta
Japan.
love it. All right.
We're going to Japan.
What are you doing for Christmas?
Let's go to Japan.
Let's go to KFC.
Let's go to KFC in Japan.
Oh,
Angie, this one seems appropriate to you. I like this
Oh,
idea.
man. Is it
Uh,
another poop in
it's
mom?
This one is called Frothed syrup.
Oh, okay.
In this celebration,
Okay.
eggnog and hot chocolate are substituted for a beverage of warm frothed syrup and vanilla
That sounds delicious.
that is consumed in small shot glasses in celebration of a fruitful harvest before entering the winter months.
Wow.
I don't know if that's real, but I want to believe it's real because it sounds kind of precious.
You want me to read it again? Or are you feeling good?
I'm gonna say it's true.
You think it's true?
Yeah,
That sounds believable.
unless you're super smart and just wrote it.
I came up with
You
that.
did?
Yeah.
Good job.
I would do that.
Nobody drinking just straight up froth syrup. I don't even know how you froth syrup.
It sounds delicious.
It
Caleb,
does sound delicious.
Caleb.
And vanilla.
When I was in Canada, there are these brothers that
I'm
would
not even
carry
kidding you.
around maple syrup and just have shots of it all the time.
Okay, see, I
That's
thought
kinda gross.
about like
Yeah.
almost like Canadian Christmas in my mind.
Yeah.
You know, the lumberjack from like Hoodwink. That's what that guy just
Yep.
big summer blowout. That's Frozen, but yeah.
That's
A
true.
crossover
Crossover.
episode.
Crossover.
Well, that was close
all
one,
right,
Caleb.
There
Good
we
job.
go.
I love
Gotcha.
that so much.
So
Can we
we're
start that?
sitting 3.
I don't know
You got
how-
the last one.
Did I miss
Three
that
and
last one?
2. But it's Estefania's turn
Did I
now.
miss that last one?
No, you
You
got,
got it.
Did I get it? Okay.
Yeah,
so
it was
then-
No, you got KFC wrong.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I
you
got
did.
KFC wrong.
So you're still
That's
2,
right.
3, and Estefania has 2.
She has
All right.
yeah.
So we
all
all
right,
got it wrong?
Estefania. Stinky,
You and I have so
stinky
far. She
stockings
hasn't.
is what this one is called.
Oh.
Before stockings can be hung up and filled with presents for this particular group, they must be worn during the local Christmas parade preceding Christmas Eve that night. So they would wear the Christmas stockings for their parade, hang them up, and it's only after they've been worn that they can be hung up and filled with goodies.
That's
And
kind
they're
of gross.
smelly and
Stinky
sweaty.
stockings. Mm-hmm.
So this is like a hot climate. Well, I guess you could still sweat in the cold. Yeah.
Especially with boots
I
on.
sure did that.
I'm gonna say that that's false.
It is false. You read
Oh.
me like a book. Well
Oh.
done.
Caleb, that's another good
That's a
one.
good
You
one.
had me going on that one. I was like,
That is
some
impressive. I
bizarre
have to
person
say.
is gonna
Pretty good
do that.
here. Yeah.
Oh my
Very
goodness.
nice. All right.
Okay,
we're at- so that's 3, 3, and 2. It's still anybody's game. We got 1, 2, 3 left. Okay, this is final round.
Wow.
Final round. We
Final
ready?
round.
Okay.
All right, Chiefy. Let's see.
So they have to get one and then they win one of them.
Correct, but if they both miss and you get this one, you're in the running.
Then I'm back in
right?
the running.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
All right. Leaving this group of people will leave an extra seat at the table set in the event that either an uninvited guest shows up or, in some cases, for deceased relatives.
Oh man, that sounds so believable, but then you make yours sound so believable too. I'm gonna have to say, yeah, definitely.
Think it's real?
Yeah, it's real.
It is real.
Yes.
They practice it in Portugal in some
Ooh,
communities.
Portugal.
Very nice. All right, so 3, any person's game.
Portugal.
All right, Angie.
Yes, sir.
Cliff Jump Christmas. This town ushers in the winter season with a daring cliff jump into ice-cold water. If the individual who jumped surfaces with a smile, it signifies that winter will be short.
That sounds like buns. But also, I don't know. The beginning of it sounds believable. I was like, oh yeah, this is a thing. But then when he said the person emerges with a smile,
It's kind of like the
Groundhog.
Like,
It's
how
like
do
a
you-
groundhog.
how do you control that so well? Like, I don't.
That's
You're
what
like,
I'm saying. Well,
What
I
if you're
think,
like-
I think the idea would be the water must not be that cold if they're able to surface with a smile. But if, you
the
know,
winter won't be that
But
long.
you said it was
painful,
ice cold.
hard. The town ushers in the winter
By diving into
winter
a full
season with a
ice
daring
cold.
cliff jump into ice cold water. Fair point. It does say that. It does say that. Could also just be how you select the person.
That's a
Hey,
very joyful person in the middle of trials.
I'm gonna go with true.
true.
Oh, he made it up,
I
didn't he?
did make that.
Ah!
Oh, it's
Ah.
sneaky.
All right, 3-3. Estefania, you could win it all
Yeah, you're gonna be
right
winner.
here. If not, I have a bonus round
Speed round?
question. It would just be one question posed to all three of you, and then if you all got it, you all win. If not, it's just. But we'll see. Estefania could end it right here. All right. This group of people begin Christmas morning dancing around the Christmas tree and singing carols before any gifts can be opened.
Well, you guys don't do that.
That's my family.
Oh, man.
That sounds like the Who's from Whoville.
Hey, maybe that's categorized
Dr.
as,
Seuss?
as a group of.
I will tell you, it has to be a real thing.
Oh, okay.
Can't be like a movie.
I'm gonna go ahead and say that that's true.
You gonna say that's true?
Oh.
Guess we're moving to bonus round.
Oh!
I'm just kidding. You won.
Oh!
Nicely done.
I feel like I have heard that.
Man,
What-
this is
what
an
culture
emotional
is
roller
that?
That's
coaster.
the Danish.
I had heard about that.
Very
Really?
nice.
Yeah.
That's kinda cute.
It
Well
sounds
done.
it sounds
Tradition.
similar
I
to
like
like
that.
also when
Yeah.
they.
All right, so
like
3-3,
the
and
flower
Estefania
dancing.
won with 4
could be
points
The underdog.
in the
Took me a while to get my
Christmas
first point.
tradition
Makes so
game.
hard.
I love it.
Season, like,
All right,
a lot of
CCB
dancing.
youth and other listeners, thanks for tuning in to this episode of the House Podcast. Hopefully you enjoyed and had a good time as we discussed the value of friendship and played this Christmas game. Once again, no episode next week because it will be Christmas Eve on the day that we normally would record. Enjoy the time with your family, and we will see you between Christmas and New Year's for a special episode with some friends of ours as well. Give it up, or we will, for our guests today. Yeah! And specifically Estefania for winning the game. And with that, hey, we love y'all. God bless. We'll see you soon.
Merry Christmas.
Merry
Happy
Chrysler.
birthday.
Take this out.